All right, day 4 of the 50 Days of AWS challenge is here. Today, we're diving into something that looks super simple on the surface, the Elastic IP. But trust me, it's not. Getting this right is what separates the beginners from the pros building real, resilient stuff in the cloud. Let's get into it.
So, picture this. It's 2 a.m. Your main application server just dies. You're on it, right? You spin up a new EC2 instance in minutes. But nothing. The app is still down. What gives? Well, it's because everything, your domain, your APIs, all your customer connections, they're all pointing to that old IP address, which is now gone forever. Your entire system is broken, all because of one little IP change.
See, in this crazy, dynamic world of the cloud where things are always changing, you absolutely need an anchor. You need one stable, predictable point that never moves, no matter how chaotic things get behind the scenes. And that is the exact problem the Elastic IP was born to solve. So, what exactly is an Elastic IP? Well, it's basically a public IPv4 address that belongs to you inside your AWS account. It's not permanently glued to anyone's server. The permanent mailing address analogy is perfect here. You can move from house to house, but your mail always goes to that one address. You just tell the post office where to forward it. Same deal here. The IP stays the same. You just point it to your new server. Okay, so this one simple idea, it opens up some seriously powerful plays. Yeah, the obvious one is a stable front door for your server, but let's think bigger. For failovers, it's a total game changer. You can swap a dead instance for a healthy one, and your users don't feel a thing. It's also a lifesaver for those old, clunky legacy systems that are hard-coded to one IP. But for me, here's the absolute killer feature. No more waiting for DNS to propagate. Instead of biting your nails for hours, waiting for a DNS change to spread across the internet, remapping an EIP, it's instant. Like snap your fingers instant.
All right, so we get the what and the why. Now let's roll up our sleeves and look at the how. The process is super easy, but paying attention to the details is what really matters when you're doing this for real.
Okay, allocating an EIP is dead simple. First thing, and I see people mess this up all the time, make sure you're in the right AWS region. From there, you just pop over to Elastic IPs, click Allocate, and then, and this part is non-negotiable if you want to work like a pro, you have to give it a good descriptive name tag. Seriously, trust me on this. It'll save your bacon later.
Okay, so take a look at what we've got here after we've allocated it. You see the public IP, you see the scope as VPC, but look at that name tag, Xfusion EIP. That's the important part. When you're in an account with hundreds, maybe thousands of resources, that little tag is the only thing telling you what this IP is for. It's a simple habit, but it's pure professionalism. Okay, IP allocated, easy peasy. But now comes the real work. Now we have to think like an architect. How does this little piece fit into the big puzzle? And what's the catch? Because there's always a catch, right? Let's talk about the hidden cost.
You know, AWS is pretty good about dropping little hints right there in the console, if you know where to look. See that little blue banner right there? That's not just decoration. AWS is basically whispering in your ear, hey, you've got some unused IPs here. You might want to look at that. And that's not a friendly tip. That's a warning about your bill.
And here we go. This is the one rule you have to burn into your brain. Elastic IPs are free, if and only if they're attached to a running EC2 instance. The second you detach it and it's just sitting there in your account doing nothing, cha-ching, the billing clock starts ticking. So why do they do this? It's because public IPv4 addresses are like an endangered species. They're a super scarce resource, and AWS wants to make sure you're not just hoarding them.
Okay, so getting that cost rule down is half the battle. Now let's talk about the common traps that people fall into so you can just, step right over them and keep your architecture and your bill nice and clean. First up, and this one gets so many people, EIPs are regional. An IIP you create in Virginia is stuck in Virginia. You can't use it in Oregon. End of story. Second, and I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but you have to tag your resources. An untagged EIP in a big account is a ticking time bomb of confusion and cost. And last one, stop hoarding IPs. Allocating a bunch, just in case, is literally the easiest way to add unnecessary charges to your AWS bill.
All right, so you've got the theory, you've seen the practice, and you know the pitfalls. Let's put you in the hot seat. Time for the interview gauntlet. Let's see how you do.
So what do you think? Can you use a single EIP for a multi-region failover? The answer is a big fat no. And you know exactly why, right? Because EIPs are locked to their region. Simple as that.
Okay, your manager is breathing down your neck about the bill. What's the very first thing you check? You head straight to the Elastic IP dashboard and look for any that are
unattached or disassociated. That weird little EC2 other charge? 9 times out of 10, it's a lonely, unattached EIP that's costing you money every hour.
Okay, last one, and this is a classic gotcha question. By default, when you terminate that EC2 instance, the Elastic IP does not disappear with it. Nope, it just gets detached and goes back into your account's pool of IPs, and, you guessed it, it immediately starts costing you money until you go and manually release it yourself.
So, let's wrap this all up. Look, an Elastic IP is so much more than just an address. It's a key tool for reliability, but if you mismanage it, it's a liability just waiting to bite you on the bill.
So, today we used an EIP to solve the problem of a changing IP address, to give our app a solid anchor. But here's the real architect-level question. Now that your EIP is so critical, what other single points of failure are hiding in your architecture? What's the next weak link you need to fix?